Daniel Whitmore slammed the file shut so hard the sound echoed across the glass walls of his office. "Run a full background check on her," he said coldly, not looking up at his head of security. "I want everything. Financial history, family ties, past employment, every detail." Outside his office, Mia Sullivan jumped at the sound. It was her first day, and already something felt wrong. She adjusted the strap of her worn handbag and whispered to herself, "You've handled worse than this. Just breathe." Her palms were damp. The lobby of Whitmore Holdings was all marble floors and crystal light fixtures, the kind of place where even the air felt expensive. She felt like an intruder inside it. "Miss Sullivan," Madison's sharp voice cut through the hallway. If you watched to this point, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Mia straightened immediately. "Yes, ma'am. You're late. It's only 8:02. The bus." "I don't care about buses." Madison's eyes raked over her outfit. "This is a corporate headquarters, not a community college classroom." Heat rushed into Mia's cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'll do better." "You better." Madison handed her a tablet. "Get the CEO's coffee order. Black. No sugar. No mistakes." Mia nodded and hurried away, her heart pounding. She didn't know that inside the corner office, Daniel Whitmore was watching her through the tinted glass. "Sullivan," he muttered under his breath. "It can't be coincidence." Back in the hallway, Mia fumbled slightly with the coffee lid before stepping into his office for the first time. She froze. Daniel Whitmore was younger than she expected. Early 30s, impeccably dressed, intense gray eyes that seemed to see straight through her. "Your coffee, sir," she said softly, placing it on his desk. He didn't touch it. "You're Mia Sullivan." "Yes, sir." "Where are you from?" "Originally?" "Ohio." "And your family?" She hesitated just half a second too long. "Just me and my mom." His eyes narrowed slightly. "That's not what I asked." She swallowed. "My father passed away when I was 16. Silence stretched between them. "Go," he said finally. She exhaled only once she was out the door. Inside the office, Daniel picked up his phone. "Make sure the background check is thorough," he repeated. "Her last name is Sullivan." Across town, in a dimly lit records department, files were already being pulled. By noon, Mia had already made 2 scheduling errors. "I told you the Henderson call was at 1, not 12. Madison snapped. "I wrote down 12. "I'm so sorry. I'll fix it." "You don't fix mistakes at this level, Miss Sullivan. You prevent them." Mia blinked back tears. "I understand." Madison leaned closer. "Do you even know where you're working?" "Whitmore Holdings crushed 3 competitors last year alone. We don't hire accidents." "I'm not an accident," Mia whispered, surprising even herself. Madison smirked. "We'll see." An hour later, Daniel stepped out of his office. "Cancel my 1 o'clock." Madison stiffened. "Sir, I'll be taking Miss Sullivan to the Henderson lunch instead." Mia looked up, startled. "Me?" "Yes, you." His tone left no room for argument. In the elevator, the silence was suffocating. "You seem nervous," he said calmly. "It's my first day." "That's not what I meant." She looked at him. "Then what did you mean?" "You act like someone waiting to be discovered." Her breath caught. "I don't know what you're talking about." He studied her face, searching. The restaurant was upscale and quiet. When they arrived, the hostess informed them the Henderson meeting had been canceled. Daniel didn't react. "We'll keep the reservation." Mia's eyes widened. "Sir, I can go back to the office." "Sit." They sat across from each other, the tension thick. "You've worked since you were 16?" he asked. "Yes." "Doing what?" "Anything I could. Grocery store. Waitressing. Cleaning offices at night." He watched her carefully. "That's a lot of responsibility for a teenager." "My father died in a construction accident," she said quietly. "Someone had to help my mom." He didn't speak for a moment. "What did he do?" "He built things," she said, a small smile appearing. "Cabinets. Staircases. He loved working with his hands." Daniel's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Back at headquarters, Madison received a call from security. Her face drained of color as she listened. "Are you sure?" she whispered. When Daniel returned, a sealed envelope waited on his desk. He opened it slowly. Sullivan Empire, formerly owned by Daniel Sullivan. Hostile takeover finalized 12 years ago by Whitmore Holdings under Richard Whitmore. Daniel's hands curled into fists. Mia Sullivan. The fallen empire. The very company his father had dismantled. His chest tightened. Madison entered without knocking. Sir, I think you should see page 7. He flipped. Extended family connections. Distant relatives tied to the Sullivan board. She lied, Madison said sharply. She's connected. Daniel stood abruptly. Leave. Sir, this could be revenge. She could be here to destroy us from the inside. Leave, he repeated colder this time. When she was gone, he stared at Mia through the glass again. She was laughing softly with a receptionist, unaware that her world was seconds away from shifting. He pressed the intercom. Miss Sullivan. My office. Now. Her smile faded instantly. She walked in slowly, closing the door behind her. Did I do something wrong? He held up the file. Who are you, really? Her heart began to race. I told you who I am. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying. Sullivan Empire, he said flatly. Ring a bell. Her face went pale. He saw it. The flicker of recognition. You're connected. She shook her head quickly. No. I mean, yes, that's my last name, but I'm not. Not what? His voice rose for the first time. Not part of the family my father destroyed. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't even know them. Silence crashed between them. You expect me to believe that? He demanded. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment, she cried. If I was part of some empire, do you think I'd be riding a bus to work? Her voice trembled, but she didn't look away. My dad was a carpenter, she continued. He wasn't a CEO. He wasn't powerful. He died with sawdust on his boots, not a board seat. Daniel stared at her, conflicted. You think I came here for revenge? She whispered. I came here because I needed a job. He didn't answer. Outside the office, Madison watched, a satisfied look forming. Inside, Daniel's voice lowered. If I find out you're lying, I'm not, she said, her voice breaking. I'm tired of people thinking there's something hidden about me. There isn't. I'm just trying to survive. The room felt smaller. Daniel looked at the file again, then at her trembling hands. Something wasn't adding up. And for the first time since ordering that background check, doubt crept into his certainty. Daniel leaned back in his chair, running a hand over his face. He had spent years building walls, both around Whitmore Holdings and around himself. But something about Mia, her honesty, the way she carried herself despite everything, was slowly cracking them. You're sure you're telling me the truth? He asked softly. I am, Mia whispered. I don't even know half of what's in that file. I don't care about the empire. I just care about living honestly, working hard, and not being judged for my name. He studied her. Her eyes were unwavering despite the tears threatening to fall. There was no cunning there. No plot. Just truth. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt the weight in his chest shift. Not with suspicion, but with something softer, something almost protective. Outside the office, Madison was fuming. She had expected this confrontation to end in Mia being escorted out, maybe even terminated on the spot. Instead, the CEO was silent longer than she had anticipated. That silence unnerved her. Finally, Daniel stood. Madison, he called sharply, come in. Madison entered cautiously. Yes, sir. I've reviewed the situation, he said, voice cold but controlled. You've been pushing a narrative about an employee based on assumptions and a partial report. That's unacceptable. Her lips parted. Sir, you're fired. Madison froze. Fired. Yes. Pack your things and leave. His gray eyes were steel. We do not operate like this here. Not anymore. Mia, who had been standing at the edge of the room, felt like the air had been lifted from her chest. She had never imagined a boss could defend her so openly, especially against someone as ruthless as Madison. Daniel turned back to her, softer now. I believe you, Mia. I trust you. And I don't want to see anyone hurt you here. Her throat tightened. Thank you, sir. I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. His gaze softened. Actions speak louder. And I think you've proven more in one day than most do in a year. Mia felt a warmth she hadn't expected. A spark of connection, of recognition. Something deeper than just relief or gratitude. She swallowed hard and tried to steady herself. I need to tell you something personal. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Go on. Years ago, Mia began hesitantly. On Valentine's Day, I helped a homeless man. I don't even remember his face completely, but I bought him coffee. It was just something small, I guess. Daniel's hand froze over the desk. His heart skipped a beat. What day? February 14th. 5 years ago, she said softly. I didn't think anyone would remember it. I just wanted to do a little good. Daniel leaned back, staring at her. Memories surged up unbidden. The man on the street, shivering and hopeless, and her kindness that had cut through his despair. He had never forgotten that day. Not once. You were that girl, he said, voice barely audible. Mia's eyes widened. I think so. He shook his head slightly, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. You weren't invisible. You saved me. The words hit her like a revelation. You mean? Yes, he said, leaning forward, elbows on the desk. And now here you are, standing in front of me. And I have to admit, I'm glad I got that chance to see you again. To know it was real. Mia felt her chest tighten. I never imagined that day mattered to anyone. It did. It matters now. His eyes softened, warmth replacing the usual steel. You've earned my trust, Mia. And I want you to know something else. She swallowed, unsure she could handle what was coming. He paused carefully, then smiled. I look forward to our Valentine's dinner tonight. Her lips parted, disbelief and joy mixing into a lump in her throat. Dinner. Yes, he said, with that rare vulnerability that melted the walls around him. You've earned it. Mia smiled through the tears threatening to spill. For the first time in years, she felt seen. Truly seen. Not as a name, not as a shadow of a fallen empire, not as a potential threat, but as herself. Daniel watched her reaction, and for the first time, he allowed himself to feel hope. Perhaps some coincidences weren't coincidences at all. Perhaps this Valentine's Day had been waiting for both of them all along. And in that quiet, unassuming office, the weight of the past lifted slightly, replaced with the warmth of new beginnings. For Mia Sullivan and Daniel Whitmore, today marked the start of something neither of them had expected, but both had desperately needed. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. The office was quiet after that. The tension that had gripped the room for hours slowly melted away, leaving only an unusual calm. Mia sat down at her desk, still trembling slightly, and tried to focus on her tasks, but her mind kept replaying Daniel's words. He remembered me. He remembered that day. A soft knock at her office door startled her. Come in, she said, wiping her hands on her skirt. Daniel stepped in, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. I thought we could have a proper cup this time, he said, setting one in front of her. His usual stern expression softened as he studied her. You've been through a lot, and yet you're still standing. Mia looked up, her eyes meeting his. I've had to be, she admitted. Life doesn't give you much choice sometimes. He nodded slowly. I can see that now, and I respect it, more than I can put into words. The background check results lay untouched on his desk. He didn't need them anymore. What mattered now was her. Her honesty, her courage, her heart. Mia's phone buzzed. It was a message from her mom. First day? How'd it go? She smiled faintly, typing back. It's complicated, but I think I found someone I can trust. Daniel cleared his throat, drawing her attention. Mia, there's something else I want to clarify. She looked up curious. What's that? About your first impression, he said carefully. I may have seemed suspicious, harsh, even cold, but it wasn't just you. It's the world I operate in. Whitmore Holdings isn't forgiving. We don't get second chances lightly. Mia nodded slowly. I understand. And I appreciate you believing me now. He smiled faintly, a rare gesture that made her heart flutter. You've earned it. More than that, you've surprised me. I wasn't expecting anyone to hold their ground like you did. The office door opened again, and a few staff members peeked in, unsure whether to interrupt. Daniel shook his head. Give her space. Let her settle. She's earned it. As the day wore on, Mia went about her duties with a newfound confidence. Each task she completed felt lighter, freer. She even managed to organize a small scheduling error without prompting, a small victory that made her chest swell with quiet pride. Later, as the sun began to dip beneath the city skyline, Daniel approached her desk once more. "I'll drive you home today," he said, his tone casual but firm. Mia blinked in surprise. "Oh, okay. Thank you." "You don't need to thank me," he said. "Consider it part of making up for the rough start today." They walked to the elevator together. Neither spoke at first, the silence comfortable rather than tense. For Mia, it was the first time in a long time that she felt like she belonged somewhere. In the car, they drove through the city streets. Neon signs reflected in the windows, casting colorful streaks across their faces. Mia glanced at him, curiosity mixed with the lingering shock of the day. "You really remembered me?" she asked softly. He looked at her, eyes steady and warm. "Every detail I could. That day mattered. And now you matter." Mia's lips trembled into a small smile. "I never thought a small act of kindness could last this long." "It can," he said simply. "And sometimes it comes back when you least expect it." For a few minutes, they drove in quiet, watching the city blur past. It wasn't just Valentine's Day. It was a new beginning. Finally, he pulled up in front of her apartment building. Mia turned to him, hesitant. "Thank you. For everything." Daniel smiled, leaning against the car. "Don't thank me. Just don't forget that actions, even small ones, can change lives. Yours changed mine." She laughed softly, shaking her head. "I guess we're even then." "Not even close," he replied with a teasing glint in his eye. "But tonight we start fresh. Dinner, Valentine's Day, no agendas, no files, no suspicions. Just," he hesitated, then smiled. "Just us." Mia's heart raced. For the first time, she felt seen. Not as an employee, not as a name on a file, not as a potential threat, but as herself. As she stepped out of the car, she looked back at him. "I'll hold you to that," she said, her smile bright and genuine. Daniel watched her disappear into the building, a rare lightness in his chest. He knew one thing for certain. This Valentine's Day had changed everything, and neither of them would ever forget it. For Mia Sullivan and Daniel Whitmore, the past was behind them, and something new, something real, was just beginning.